email assigning to name, name assigning to email, properly not assigning to my expected values. So then you have to go through index. Index equal to the age index is first and email index is third index, index 2, and the name is belongs to first index, 0 index. Now if I run, name assigning to name, number assigning to age, and this name again assigning to email, finally email assigning to email. So constructors problem we can solve by using type and index attributes. By using type and index attributes we can solve constructor ambiguity problems. Okay. So up to now what we know here, we know how to inject parameters through constructors, through setters, and we know how to inject only primitive types. The string type is primitive type. As a value we are passing these values, right, integers and strings. In case if you have any secondary type in your class, secondary data type association if you have, in maximum cases secondary data types only we have to inject. In real time use cases, your classes maximum they may have secondary data types. In maximum use cases secondary types you need to pass. In case if your class if it contains secondary type, secondary data types, or in case if they have arrays or collections, if you have class car, and if that car class if it have dependency of engine, if you have engine association here, engine, if you have engine association in car class, car it is having one secondary data type association here, and string car name. Here I have two fields, one car name and one engine. Car name is a type of primitive, car name is a type of primitive, and this engine a type of secondary type. In engine class take one primitive type, private string model year, and write a setter method here, write a setter method here, and write one getter method here, setter and getter. By using setter from IOC we can pass data into engine, by using getter the data we can consume in car class. Okay, just maintain setters and getters in engine class. Here write only setters, write setters in car class. So how many setters we need to write? 2 setters. Write 2 setters here, set engine and set car name. Then finally print the data, public void print car data, system.out.println print car name, and print model year. How to print model year here? We have only engine association. By using that engine association reference, we can call getter method, right? So here you can use engine dot get model year. Then whatever the data we have in engine object, that data it will get here. Okay. So into car class we have to inject 2 fields, one is engine and one is car name. Into engine class one model here we have to pass. Okay. Create two XML files, one engine XML file, engine.xml, beans, create a bean ID, engine, and the bean class name, engine class. So into this engine class, just we have to pass one single property. That property is primitive type property. Model here. We can pass value. Create one more XML file, car. Beans, bean ID, C, class name, car class. So in this car class we have two setter methods. One is for engine and one is for car name. So you just pass car name value and one more property name, engine. How to pass engine value here? Engine is a secondary type. So that secondary type reference already we have in this engine XML file. So by passing this reference, you can assign that engine object to car. Here you can use reference and you can pass that reference here. And how many XML files we have? 2. You have to load these 2 XML files at a time into one single IOC container. You can have this complete data in one single XML file, or else you can divide it into multiple XML files. No issue. Any number of XML files we can use. But while using single XML file or multiple XML files, again and again you should not repeat IDs. Same ID you should not repeat. You should not repeat again for any other classes. Throughout application, ID should be unique. Same ID you should not repeat again. Then finally load these 2 XML files into IOC. You can load these 2 XML files into IOC. IOC will create first engine class object. It will create engine object. In that engine object it will assign model here. Then IOC will create one car class object. In that car class it will assign car name equal to RD and engine reference. Engine equal to this reference it will attach here. That engine reference it will assign here. E reference we are assigning, right? That same E reference IOC will assign to car. Then in case if you require car, by using IOC container, you can call get bean of car C equal to car of. You can call get bean method. Get bean of car reference. If you pass, it will return car object. By using that car object, if you call print method, print car data method, if you call, what it will print? Car name what we have here, RD, and model year what we have here in this engine reference 2015. That one it will print. So here we are trying to passing this engine reference as a reference, right? We are trying to assigning it as a reference. To pass references, to pass secondary type references, we can pass by object or pass by reference. We can use 2 approaches, right? Let's say if you have class like test class, in the test class if you have a method with argument, if you have a method with argument a, and if you have class a class, into test class method after creation of test class object, test t equal to new test of. By using test class reference I can call method of test class. And how to pass this object a reference? Directly I can pass object, right? New a of directly I can pass instance instead of reference. We can pass through instance directly object, or else we can use this approach also. You can create one reference for a class, a equal to new a of, then you can call t dot method equal to reference also you can pass, right? We can pass reference, or else directly you can pass object to. So here we are trying to assigning for car class this engine reference keyword. We are trying to assigning reference. Instead of assigning reference as an object also you can pass. It's similar like your direct object, direct instance also you can pass. So in case if you want to pass directly a instance to car class, we have one inner bean approach. By using that inner bean approach, you can assign bean to car. But in this case, this same instance reference, if you want to use for another method, is it possible to use? No. But through reference, you can use that same reference for any number of methods. You can pass the same reference to any number of methods, right? If you have one method 1 and if you have one more method, method 2, into this method 2 also you can pass, right? In case if you try to call method 1 and method 2, in method 2 again we have to pass a class object, right? So again we have to create one more instance. Again we have to create one more instance. How many instances JVM will maintain? 2 instances. Instead of using 2 instances, if you have any reference, by passing this reference we can manage only one single instance for these 2 methods. We can pass same instance to 2 methods, right? So by using inner bean approach, directly you can pass object. This one is we are passing pass by reference keyword. In case if you don't want pass references, directly instance itself if you want to pass, direct instance itself if you want to pass keyword, instead of using reference attribute, in between property and property tag, here you can use bean class engine, and for that bean class required dependency injection you can do here itself. Name model year, value, we can pass required value. This bean object we are creating in between property. In between property or in between constructor, if you create any bean, you can call that bean as inner beans. So this concept is similar like your pass by object or pass by instance concept. Instead of passing through references, by using references, instead of using references, if you want to pass directly instance itself into car class, by using this inner bean approach you can pass inner beans. You can call it as inner bean approach. In case if you want to reuse engine object multiple times, then you have to create separate reference. That reference you have to assign to required cars and bus, and if you have multiple vehicles. So for that multiple vehicles, same engine if you want to use, same engine model year if you want to use, then you can pass that same reference into multiple classes. In case if you don't want to reuse that, then you can pass like inner bean, pass by object, directly you can pass object. Secondary types dependency injection. By using setter or constructor, you can go through anyone. I'll show through setter methods. Setter dependency injection for secondary types. Add IOC dependencies. Write 2 beans, car and engine. One car bean and one engine bean. Write a setter and write a getter. and in car class take two parameters, private string car name, private engine reference. Here also write two setter methods, set engine, set car name. Final write a method public void print car data. Car name, print car name and model year. Print model year here. Engine dot call get model year method from engine class. Now try to do this secondary type dependency injection. In case if you want to use multiple XML files here, you create one car XML file and one engine XML file. I'll create car class instance. Before that, create engine class references here, bean id, engine reference, class name beans dot engine. In this engine class we have one dependency model year, pass that model year value and go through car class, car bean id c, class name beans dot car class. In this car class we have two dependencies, property car name, we can pass required value, and second reference engine. Instead of passing value we should use reference. Whatever the reference we are using here, the same reference name you have to pass here. And these two XML files you have to load into only one single IOC container. How to load? In case if you have multiple XML files, you have to create first string XML file array, string files new string array of, how many files we have? Two files. One is resources slash car.xml comma resources slash engine.xml. Load these two XML files into container, application context AP equal to new class path XML application context. Pass that files here, array files. Then it will instantiate both. If you try to load two XML files, two XML files classes objects it will create. If you want to say write a default constructor with debug statements, and you can find. While loading itself it will create car class object as well as engine class objects, because it is eager container, right? Then try to run this client, creating car object and engine object by loading two XML files. And dependency injection also it will do at the time of loading time itself. And after doing dependency injection, if you want to get bean of car, you can get car bean here. Then after getting car bean, you can call print data, print it, car name and model year. But we are trying to passing engine object as a reference. In case if we don't want to use this reference, by using inner bean you can pass it instead of passing by reference. For car engine, use same XML file, car engine.xml file. So when engine required, on spot if you want to create engine object, you can create bean class beans dot engine, and you can pass that engine value. Model here. Okay, now load this single XML file, car-engine.xml file. Go to test class, just comment this. Just I'll comment complete 2 lines. Again, create application context AP equal to new class path XML application context. Load here that resource reference. XML file name car-engine.xml. Yeah, that's it. In this case also, it is creating car class object and engine class object, and it is injecting that engine object into car class. But whatever the engine object you are creating here, the same engine object you can't able to use it for another vehicles. But if it is a reference, you can use it for any number of vehicles, any number of cars. Okay, that is the difference between pass by reference and pass by value. Yeah. As of now, just we know how to inject primitive types and secondary types.